Good morning. There will be background noise because I have the laundry going and the fan. It's a beautiful day. I'm actually going to hang some laundry out on the deck. But anyway, I digress. I have a million stories, and I think I might start telling them and posting them here and hope that, any of the interesting ones don't get made into a movie and I miss out on tons of money. Anyway, I've mentioned to anyone that's listened to me, talk, not just show things really quickly or whatever. I've spoken and posted about how I, over the years, belonged to many different social organizations. Some of them were female only, and some of them were, like anyone could come. And a lot of them were, I guess, in the area where I live, it's a touristy area, or was. I live here half the year basically, but it's become a very touristy area, the Hudson Valley, and there are a lot of restaurants, shops, art galleries, stuff. So the big thing around here for many years has been different dinner clubs, lunch clubs, you name it. So I belong to different women's groups, different dinner clubs, blah blah blah. Um, at any given time in the past, I would belong to 10 different organizations. I had to have a calendar, like an old fashioned paper calendar, because I had that much going on, believe it or not. So, anyway, that's background. I want to focus in on one specific story. Um, and so, anyway, during the virus, when restaurants were opened, but there was certain protocol, like you had to wear a mask when you weren't seated, and you had to walk in through one door. A staff member had to check for your vaccination card, and then they would lead you over to a table. And then once you were seated, you could take the mask off. And when it came time to leave, there was a different exit. In other words, you didn't exit the way you came in. So, and people were happy to do this. Well, this was an outdoor venue. Oh, I might as well give it away. Wappinger Falls, there's this building that over the years has been, it's a commercial building in a residential neighborhood, and it's right on the falls. It used to be a hair salon. These two gay men owned it many years ago. My friend Nancy used to go there to get her hair done. And then I became different restaurants. I don't know what it is now. But a couple of years ago, it was like a restaurant, wine place. And it had a big outdoor deck, for dining, which was perfect during the virus. So this particular group that I belonged to that allowed men and women, but it was 95% of the time just women came, okay? And it was for older women, not, 20-year-olds. Okay. So one night on a weeknight, they decided to have a dinner at this place. It was outdoors. And I guess because it was a weeknight, it wasn't going to be too crowded, whatever. And quite a few women signed up for it. I would say anything from maybe 15 to 20. So they had two large tables, two rectangular tables set up for us. And I'll just tell you part. So my thing was with women only group, if they're not close friends and they're not a lot younger or a lot older and they're not as secure as me, they play games a lot, especially with the seating. So my deal was I like to get early to get good parking and also to choose my seat. I'm a little OCD that way, and I generally would like to sit, if it was a rectangular table, towards the middle. And that way, if you get there late, you have to look for an empty seat and then ask someone, oh, is this seat taken? Do you mind if I sit with you? I don't know. I find that socially awkward, especially among some women that are catty. So I would go there early and practically be the first one there, choose my seat, and that way, as women trickled in, they could choose to sit near me, next to me, or not sit near me, next to me. That was their choice. See, I didn't want to, I was just being, neutral, and I wasn't going to play any games, which made me not so popular. So if I tell enough stories, you'll hear it. So I get there early, and then another woman comes who I didn't particularly like, but I didn't dislike her, and she used to come to a lot of these things. So I kind of felt like I knew her a little bit. She sits to the right of me, and we're just chit-chatting a little bit, But there's something about her. She kind of rubbed me the wrong way, but, I didn't dislike her. It's one of those weird things. There were sometimes, I would see her and talk to her and feel annoyed. And other times I would see her and talk to her and feel good. One time she did open up to me, and she told me a little bit about her background. So then I kind of felt like I understood. She went through a lot before her husband passed away. She was just a year older than me. And she was widowed. I don't know, she must be close to 10 years now, widowed, and she hasn't gotten involved with anyone since then, or even dated, but I think she wanted to, but anyway, that's aside. So then other people trickled in, and this other woman came and sat to the left of me, and I met her maybe once or twice before, and I kind of liked her. I mean, I wasn't totally it wasn't like a clique where oh yeah, let's hang out sometime outside of these meetings. But I found her pleasant enough, and she was a cool person, I thought, to talk to or whatever. And then other people trickle in opposite, whatever. Now, I like to spend money, but I like to choose how I spend my money, and I am frugal and whatever. And at the time, I was successfully doing low carb / keto. And so, when they had the menu and everything, there were a lot of carb type dishes on there. And I was I don't mind paying extra to have exactly what I want. But to save $1 or $2, I'm not going to get a big plate of pasta. It's just not going to happen, So I asked the waitress, I said, "Oh, I noticed you have a charcuterie board." And there was a small for maybe I don't know if it was 12 or 15, and then the large was just $2 or $3 more. So I said, "Well, every time I go to one of these things, the son that's at this house would kind of comment to me oh, if you wouldn't mind bringing home, a doggy bag." And, I've been watching my weight since I've been 12 years old. So, my policy was, if I go out to eat, I order low carb, and I immediately ask for a doggy bag, and I eat half, and I bring the other half back. And when I am residing under our roof, his roof, I give him half of, here, this is for you. I brought this back for you. Thank you. Okay. So the waitress tells me, for $2 or $3 more, you're going to get double the amount. And, if you want to get a doggy bag, that it's definitely worth. So I said, sure. And when I go out to events and I'm driving, I very, very rarely have alcohol. It affects me very strongly. I like to have a sugar-free iced tea or water, I don't really like even having one drink and having to drive 4 hours later. It's just not comfortable for me. So anyway, so I order my thing, and the woman to the left of me, I think I ordered it early, before a lot of people got there, because we were doing separate checks, and I had cash on hand, and I want to control my own exit. I don't want to be waiting around for a check. If I decide I don't like the vibe at the table and I want to leave early, I want to know that I've gotten my food already, I've had ample time to eat half of it, put the other half in the doggy bag, and get the hell out of Dodge early if I want to. If I want to linger, I can linger, but that's how I roll. So, the woman to the left of me that I kind of like, orders a glass of wine and no food. And it's not cheap to order wine at one of these upscale places. Then she orders another glass of wine. But I was kind of like not really focusing on that, but like it was sort of in my periphery. Like, a little alarm, 2 glasses of wine on an empty stomach. Don't get on the road when she's on the road. Um, so, Mine is the first to arrive. My food, my plate is the first to arrive, and the waitress puts it right in front of me. And the woman to the left of me looks at it and says, "Oh, no, 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 that's not for you. That's for the table, to share with the table." I said, "No, honey, sorry. I specifically ordered this for myself because I promised my son I would bring half of it home." And, she kept saying, "No, no, no, it's for the table. They always do this to share with the table." And I said, "No." And I knew that she was trying to manipulate me to say, "Oh, well, here, go ahead, take some." No, it wasn't for the table. I wasn't feeding the whole table. They haven't fed me. I haven't bought them drinks. They haven't bought me drinks. We're not friends. We just belong to a same organization. So the waitress is at the next table. So this woman keeps going that it's not my food when it is. So I said, "Well, here, the waitress is right over here. Let her tell you." I tap on the waitress. The waitress heard all of this, and she turned to the woman and said, "No, she's right. She ordered this for herself because she's taking half of it home for her son. That's why it's large. It's not a table sharing freebie or whatever." And I said, "Thank you." And then she said, "Oh, would you like the doggy bag now?" Because she knew what was going on. I said, "Yes." So I immediately took half the food out, put it in that round metallic thing with the plastic lid that you have to crimp the metal around. And I like to do that to just get the temptation away. Half of it was gone. So everyone else's food starts coming, and I'm picking at mine, and the woman next to me now orders another glass of wine and no food. And I was like, Jesus Christ, I'm not a selfish person, but I had a lifetime of enabling, oversharing, doing things for other people, and then they wouldn't give me an ice cube if I were an Eskimo. So my policy a few years ago became, no, I have appropriate boundaries. I'm responsible for me and myself, and you are responsible for yourself. If you have a situation, ask. I do not like manipulation or attempts at manipulation. And this particular group of women I found were not caring, loving, giving women. They weren't. So I didn't even want to share anything with them. So I stood my ground, and I had a pleasant evening. And I ended up staying a little later. And there were a couple of other little catty games played that night, which is why I didn't really go that often, because these women were a little too gamey for me. But there were a couple of other little games and things that night, and, but there were some people there that were pleasant, and it was a nice evening, and, I stayed pretty much to the end, and I had a lovely time despite the attempts, and I felt really good about myself because I didn't let someone manipulate me. Now, I used to be a pink hatter in the Red Hat Society, and I was the baby of the group. Everyone was older. Everyone was either married or widowed. There was none of that gamey stuff. It was a tight-knit group of women that knew each other for years. We had gone to each other's houses. We had met each other's families, children, gone to events outside of the Red Hats with each other, or parties at each other's house. I went to her son's engagement party. She was the queen of the group. Another one, boy, I could tell a story about her. Not negative, positive. Um, but we were all like a very close, loving group. We didn't play games with each other. And that's what I was used to, that type of behavior. People who had standards of behavior, who were not manipulative, who were respectful, polite, responsible. And that's what I look for in social groups. Now, this group disbanded. The women were older. Some of them have passed away. Um, at least one has moved south. Another one had grandchildren and became very involved with her grandchildren. So she pretty much fell by the wayside. But that's the standard that I had for behavior in groups, particularly among women. And since that group, which was like Camelot, I have yet to find a group of women who behaved accordingly. I've encountered since then cattiness, competitiveness. God forbid if there's a man around, lying, backstabbing, you name it. It to me, you know, and I try not to judge because that's one of my character flaws, but I have to be so vigilant among these people as to what is going on, and the gossip and the blah blah blah. And during this time, from even before I moved to Tennessee, I was actively dating or in a long-term relationship, and they didn't like it because they were all divorced and widowed and didn't have a man. And I don't want to say it because it's mean, but one woman who was younger that I met at another function said it in a really nice way. She said, even older men want to like what they are looking at when they're sitting across the table from you. And if these women want a relationship, they need to put on a little bit of makeup, dress appropriately, and fix their hair or color their hair or whatever. I didn't say it, she did, and she said it in a very kind way. Well, thank you to that woman who said it, and I hope that she has a happy relationship with a kind, wonderful, supportive man in her life, because she was smart and she was kind and she was honest. So anyway, I am not participating in any women's groups right now while I am here because, like I said, I've yet to meet women who were like that wonderful group that I knew years ago. Anyway, everyone, don't let anyone try to steal the food off your plate in a restaurant, and have a great day. Bye.